a fantastic feud that goes almost all 3 weeks. Also, Rick Rude versus Dustin Rhodes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dropkicks and Attractions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard to the formerly weekly, now bi-weekly Dropkicks and Attractions podcast. I am, of course, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster, Xander Invictus, joined by your favorite podcaster's second favorite podcaster, Big Buck. How are you, sir?
Doing good tonight, Xander. How about you?
I'm doing good. I had a hell of a day. Let's put it this way. My drink of the night is Coors.
Oh, yeah, I've got Diet Pepsi tonight.
I usually don't drink, beer or anything during the streams, but I was like, fuck it. I got a tall boy. Let's put it this way. I actually I didn't get to go home early. I worked my whole shift.
Gotcha.
Okay, so speaking of the whole bi-weekly thing, here's the deal, folks. We're not going anywhere. If you noticed that we didn't have an episode last week, we have decided we are canceling the podcast.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just joking. What we're going to do is both of us work full-time. We're trying to launch our own podcast. I know I'm trying to do mine at least. We're trying to get both of ours up by the end of the summer. Mm-hmm. At least the episode's up and everything up and situated by the end of the summer. Right. I stream 4 times a week on Twitch doing WWE 2K24. I have added a YouTube exclusive video series for WWE 2K24 plus any other content with that. That's a lot of fucking work.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to try to start streaming.
Yes. So what we're going to do, that way we don't rush this. We are going to do Dropkicks and Attractions bi-weekly, and then that gives us the 2 weeks to set up for it, work on other pursuits, have free time. We both work full-time. So that way we don't burn out and leave for the 18th time. We're just going to go bi-weekly. You're still going to get the same content. That's not going away. The format's not going away. We're just going to go bi-weekly. That way we can work on ourselves. This week was Oops All WCW, just like Oops All Crunchberries.
Ha!
We did 3 weeks and we're going slightly back in time too, because the first episode of WCW Saturday Night was actually 2 days before SummerSlam, which was our previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we did SummerSlam last episode. This episode is 3 weeks worth of WCW Saturday Night because there was no Raw for a couple weeks. We're going to go back to our regular format next episode. And then the following episode after that, we're going back to a pay-per-view exclusive episode where we're doing Fall Brawl with the return of
War Games.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go through WCW Saturday Night of August 28th, September 4th, and September 11th. The nice thing is, going through all these, is that there was the recurring theme. Not only are they re-promoting Fall Brawl, we're getting the best of 3 series. We're going to get all 3 episodes are going to have something to do. Well, I kind of spoiled it because best of 3 and there's 3 episodes. We're getting the best of 3 series between Dustin Rhodes and Rick Rude. This is basically the feud ender for the WCW United States title. This is basically the ending of the feud. Right. By the end of the 3rd episode, somebody's going to be United States champion.
At last. Title's been held up like the whole time we've been doing the podcast, I think.
For the most part. I mean, Dustin had it for a little bit, but then they had that one weird match, I think it was on Worldwide, where both their shoulders went up. I'm just going to say it right now. Out of the way, spoiler alert. This best of 3 series was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I loved the whole thing.
Even my least favorite one, I think, in my opinion, was better than Beach Blast. And none of these matches were bad remotely.
Right.
So what we're going to do is, because we had it's a special, best of 3 series, we're going to give our favorite match of, the shows and everything. And then at the end, when we give our favorite match of the episode, we're going to give our favorite best of 3 match between Rhodes and Rude.
Alrighty.
I have mine, but, once again, our opinions are usually pretty different. So remember, we're going to go right back into WCW Saturday Night of August 28th, 93. Bach, do you remember for Clash of the Champions when Pillman came out on crutches and Regal helped defend the title that they lost to the Horsemen? This is the match he got injured on. You can see it. It's the Hollywood Blondes going up against Mark Starr and Frankie Lancaster. Basically, the show opened right into this. Like, everybody's already in the ring.
Yeah, the match is literally going as the title music finishes.
Yeah. We do notice that we're going to get Flair for the Golden Night also. And there was two things that I noticed. And we noticed this on episode 3 of this show, too. First off is that Steve took a lot of punishment throughout this whole match, which surprised me.
Yeah, he really did. He was in for a lot of it.
Yeah, before the injury. And then also, not only did Frankie Lancaster get a lot of action in, surprisingly, considering these are the former tag team champions who just lost them on TV a few days ago. Or about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in real life, it was about 3 weeks or whatever. Anyways, and then he has a match later on the 3rd episode that we're covering. Got a lot in on that, too. But here's the thing. He was an enhancement talent. He never got any higher than this. And I looked it up. He only really had a handful of matches per year on television. I think it was 1987 was the last match where... I went on Cage Match. You know how they have Cage Match where it has all the listings of all the matches people had? According to Cage Match, because I was interested because he got a lot of stuff in between this match and the 3rd match. Well, the 3rd episode, the 2nd match he was on for this episode.
Right.
He didn't have, at least Cage Match verified matches. He didn't have more than, the last year he had more than 9 was 87.
Oh, wow.
And he had up a match, I think his last recorded match was 2019, where he had one match that was recognized by Cage Match.
Mm-hmm.
So up until 2019, he would do like 1 or 2 matches.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure he was on the independent sweater, but he was always an enhancement talent. This was not, we're going to start pushing Frankie Lancaster up.
Right.
So I was just surprised on how much he really was getting in this match.
Mm-hmm. He looked pretty good, too.
Yeah, no, he looked great, but I was just surprised as an enhancement talent.
That he did as much as he did.
Yeah. Like, this was honestly, for a quote-unquote squash match, or you would assume be a squash match, this was even. Very even.
Yeah, even back and forth.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of miscommunication between Pillman and Lancaster early on, but I did notice Jesse was talking about his astute observation about the Bulls. Because this was during the 93, they had already won their 91, 92, 92, 93. Yeah, this would have been... They had won their second of their first 3, the second title in their first 3-peat.
Right.
Because it was 91, 92, 92, 93, 93, 94. They were talking about how they don't have the titles and all this. He's talking about not having things. And Jesse actually says, and this was before everything happened, that if Michael Jordan left the Bulls, they wouldn't win the title without Michael Jordan. And I don't know how much you followed basketball or sports in general in 93.
I know about the double 3-peat and the gap years. Is it because Jordan left?
I don't want to say that specific reason, but those 2 years that the Bulls didn't win the titles within that 8-year period, Michael Jordan was playing baseball.
Gotcha.
So I just like that there's an astute observation showing basically hindsight's 2020.
Right.
Where it's like they won the 3 titles. Jordan was gone for 2 years. He comes back and they win another 3 titles.
Gotcha.
Which still, 6 titles out of 8 years is impressive.
That's insane, man.
But the 2 years that they didn't win it, Jordan was not playing for him.
Coincidence? You make the call.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Like, they made the playoffs. Like, they didn't just go straight like, we can't even win a game. They made the playoffs.
Oh, they did?
They made the playoffs, yeah. They made the playoffs all 8 years. Those 2 years, they didn't win the finals.
Did they make it to the finals?
No. I think those were the 2 years that the Rockets won the finals. So I think you went from an Eastern Conference team to a Western Conference team anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But there was 2 years that Houston won the title. And then Jordan comes back and they win at 3. And then we'll see that, actually, if you watch, there was a documentary called, what was it called? It was about the Bulls. The Last Dance, where they interviewed a lot of the Bulls. Fun fact, once we get to it in, I want to say 98, which is the last title that they won, was during the finals where you had the match where it was Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman versus Karl Malone and Diamond Dallas Page.
What?
Just wait.
Okay.
And then it actually happened around the same time with the Bulls and the Jazz were in the finals, and that was also the flu game where Michael Jordan had the game-winning shot with the flu.
Gotcha.
So you had this whole thing where it's set up to where you had, at Road Wild too, which somehow Road Wild always pops up.
Mm-hmm.
You have Rodman on one side in a tag match and Malone on the other side in this tag match, while at the same time, just out of sheer coincidence and happenstance, they're facing each other in the NBA Finals at the same time.
That's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, it's, once again, wrestling is a fickle mistress, and sometimes I like it.
I like it too.
So honestly, things I don't like is that you can actually see the moment where Pillman does break his ankle. Like, it happens where, I believe it was Mark Starr was giving him a monkey flip.
I think it was Frankie. Like, that Tony was playing off like it was a real injury. Yeah, it was Frankie.
Yeah, so you can tell, like, when Pillman landed, his feet hit, something happened during the contact that he did legitimately hurt himself. And you can tell by the way the match happened after the fact, because it looked like whoever gave him the monkey flip went after him again, like, hey, I'm still, he's selling the injury, I'm still going to go after him. And then you can tell they realized that the injury happened.
That it was legit.
And then they go home quick. You can tell that they kind of rushed the ending.
Yeah, I could see, Steve hit a really lackadaisical cover on Frankie. I guess that's why.
Yeah, it was like, hey, he's injured, we got to go home quick. And so, obviously, we knew the Blondes were going to win, but you could just tell that it was quick.
Right. Time on the match was 12 minutes and 31 seconds. I did think, as I was taking my notes, that it was legit, but the match was good until that happened.
Yeah, no, it was a surprisingly even match, and I enjoyed it for what it was up until the injury.
Right.
And honestly, what sucks, this is basically the end of the Hollywood Blondes 2, which pisses me off.
Right, but obviously Pillman can't compete because he's got the broken ankle, and then, so yeah, the tag team just kind of stops, I guess.
No, well, there's a feud and everything that happens, but it's not like, oh, we just forget about it. But it's basically, this was the Swans, which sucked, because I love the Hollywood Blondes.
You've talked before about how much you would have loved to see more of them.
Oh, 100%. But the same thing, here's the weird thing, because of how weird wrestling is. Let's say we got the Blondes for another 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
We never would have gotten Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right, I think you've said Austin 316 was 96, or was it 95?
96.
96, okay.
We don't want to talk about King of the Ring 95.
Okay.
Oh, that was the year of King Mabel. Yeah, that Mabel.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's considered one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. And when you have Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker in the tournament, and Mabel wins it.
What are you doing with your life?
Oh, sure. You want to see how bad it is? Go watch Wrestling with Regret. He now how he does his pay-per-view reviews, his classic pay-per-view reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched it the other day too. He does do King of the Ring 95. Oh, when the main event has your world champion, but it's not a world title match, he's in a tag match.
What?
Yeah, instead of defending the world title, it's Diesel and Bam Bam Bigelow who had turned face against Sid and Tatanka.
What?
Yes, that was the main event. Your world champion not defending the world title.
Okay, editing back, go watch that.
Yeah, it's just watch the Wrestling with Regret review. It's fantastic.
So yeah, that's what I'll do.
So we go to commercial, we come back, and we get, I don't know if this Flair for the Gold, it seems like the way they presented it was recorded previous. This wasn't like, oh, we're right here, and it seems like we're part of the show. This seems like it was recorded prior, just the way they presented it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got the same vibe.
Okay, so out comes Ric Flair and Fifi, of course, who, by the way, if those don't remember, we talked about this before, is actually his current wife in real life. That's his wife, Wendy. Out comes Rick Rude, and this is the second time we've had Rick Rude on here. He's not in the same mood as he was in before.
No, he is not.
He is not. He comes in, barely acknowledges Rick, and is just staring daggers at Fifi. And Rick's like, hey, we'll worry about that later. We're talking about, he's got the best of 3 series with Dustin Rhodes for the U.S. title. And he's just like, he's basically like treating Fifi as property. And he's like, hey, basically, hey, you're mine type thing. And Ric Flair's like, hey, cool your shit. This is my show. It gets to the point where he brings Fifi over and he just he kisses the lipstick off of Fifi.
This whole thing, Rude was being so cringe.
Yeah, but it's ravishing Rick Rude. This was him.
Right.
This was 100% in character. I could have saw this. Right, just look up to the feud where, when he was in WWF, where I saw him first as a child. He would do this thing where he would bring out ladies from the crowd and he would kiss them because, I'm ravishing, I'm sexy, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
There was a time where he goes to pick a woman and she goes, no, absolutely not. It was a very beautiful woman. And he goes, why not? What makes you think that, you're better than me? He goes, no, I'm Jake the Snake's wife.
Oh!
And it was his real life wife at the time.
Oh, wow.
So they had this great feud. If you look it up, there's this fantastic feud between Jake the Snake and Rick Rude, basically over this. And there's a moment where Ric Flair, you know how Rick Rude comes out, he's always got his tights airbrushed, usually for like the title or his opponent or whatever. He came out and took off his robe one time, and he had Jake the Snake's wife's face airbrushed on the crotch of his pants.
Oh, holy crap.
So this, I like this Ric Flair. This is entirely in Ric Flair's, or excuse me, not Ric Flair, Rick Rude's wheelhouse. So, of course, Rick's getting pissed. He goes after Ric Flair, or, Rick Rude, all this shit. He goes to stop this whole thing from happening. Rude jumps in from behind, and actually, Gnarly gives him a rude awakening straight to the floor.
Looked like he landed on Rick's NWA title belt.
A little bit, I don't know if that was on purpose or whatever, but basically he said he wanted a shot at the NWA World title, which is not going to be the NWA World title for much longer.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it happens, on the 1st. Hold on, let me look it up real quick. But yeah, so, go ahead, and while I look it up, go ahead and introduce the next match. We got our, because I sure as hell didn't get anything out of this match.
Yeah, this was Max Payne versus Chippewa Charlie Norris, and
I don't know if his nickname was quote-unquote Chippewa. He might have been a Chippewa Indian, but I don't think his nickname wasn't Chippewa.
They introduced him as Chippewa, so...
Okay, well, maybe they might have said he was Chippewa. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so, basically what had happened is that it's still the big gold belt that was basically the NWA World title. And then basically what had happened is WCW withdrew its membership from the NWA in September. So right around this time.
Oh, okay.
So because they withdrew, they no longer had the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. They basically just had this belt.
Okay.
WCW kept the belt, but it was a belt for nothing.
Okay.
And they basically acknowledged, because basically the idea was it was supposed to set up for the NWA World title for Rude and Flair. So Flair is actually acknowledged as the first WCW International Champion.
Okay, so that's where they're going to go with this.
Yeah, and you only had basically until 94. You only had technically 4, but the one main title change was at a house show. But basically, you only had 3 people hold this for the next year. But yeah, so that's what that is. So, but basically, this match was not good.
Yeah.
I am not sold on Charlie Norris. I'm sold on Max Payne.
Yeah, we've been sold on him.
I am not sold on Charlie Norris. And this match did nothing to establish anything else.
The only thing of note that I really saw was Max hit a nasty clothesline, then Charlie took over and Max walked out.
Yeah, count out. Yeah, this count out win.
Yeah, 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Huh?
Yeah, I basically, this is a no notes, but because there was no notes to take, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Once again, you're trying to, by the way, I just looked it up. Charlie Norris was 6'6", so he was about the same size as Max Payne.
Right.
I got nothing out of this.
Nothing happened. They didn't do anything.
Yeah. So, and obviously this is not the last match we have, and honestly, the last match they have this show is actually even worse.
Uh-huh.
In my opinion. So we get the Fall Brawl Control Center, of course, which is we're going to talk about
War Games.
We do get some new matches. We do get the tag titles defended. The 4 Horsemen are going up against guys I'm a fan of. We saw on Raw already. It's the fucking Nasty Boys are coming back. I love the Nasty Boys. I'm excited for this. I do enjoy some Nasty Boys.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
We are going to officially get Cactus Jack versus Yoshi Kwan in a bounty match. Basically, the bounty is the bag that they're carrying around that has a Cactus Jack item that they're carrying around. Basically, they're putting it around Yoshi Kwan's neck.
It's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, basically. And you wait till you find out what the MacGuffin really is.
Oh, boy.
And then we do confirm, because after Flair for the Gold, we are getting Flair for Rude for the NWA title, because technically it still is the NWA title. And then we get a match that I was excited to see, and this, honestly, I wasn't disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Regal versus Brad Armstrong.
Yeah, I liked this match.
Yeah. Not as much as Tony liked the ladies in the crowd, though. If you notice that, Tony's like, hey, what's up, girl?
Mm.
On paper, this match could be really good because we know how much I love Regal. I grew up watching Brad Armstrong, but you got to see a lot of Brad Armstrong since we've done this show. So on paper, this match was going to be great.
Yeah, and as this match went on, Armstrong kept up with Regal. I was really impressed.
Well, yeah, we've established that just how good at technical and scientific wrestling Brad Armstrong really was. Mm-hmm. He might have been just, the light heavyweight champion, that division, like a mid-card guy. But this match was just pure scientific wrestling from both guys, and I absolutely adored this match.
Yeah, this was really a no-notes for me, just because it was, just like you've said, solid basics.
Yeah, like, if it wasn't for the main event of the show tonight, this would have been my favorite match of the night. This is, when I've told you since the beginning of the podcast, I love scientific wrestling.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about. The chaining and the countering and all the technical moves. This is scientific wrestling at its best, basically, in 93. In American wrestling, this is about the best you're going to get.
Gotcha.
This is when I say scientific wrestling. This is why I like your Zack Sabres and your Pete Dunnes. And, like, Colt Cabana actually is a very good scientific wrestler. He studies a lot of the British stuff. He's a comedy wrestler, but when you can watch just how scientific Colt Cabana can get. Like, any of that kind of style. Or like who just came back on AEW, a Kyle O'Reilly type. That's what I like.
Yeah, I remember him from when he was in NXT with the Undisputed Era. He was good.
Oh, I love the Undisputed Era. But basically, this is what I say that when I like scientific wrestling, this is what I want. And I 100% got it.
There was one neat spot I liked. Brad literally climbed up Steven and rolled him down. I love that.
Oh, yeah, it was so good. Like, I could tell you every spot that I liked in this match, but it would be here all day. And this wasn't a long match, because Regal was actually able to counter an O'Connor roll for the win.
9 minutes, 50 seconds. Great stuff.
Oh, I could go on for half an hour on this match, just off the 9 minutes. But yeah, no notes because it's so fucking good. We just had a no notes because the match was garbage, right into a no notes because the match was the opposite of whatever the opposite of garbage is.
Stellar.
Yeah, stellar. If this was in Japan, Dave Meltzer would give it 12 stars. Okay, so Tony's coming back. He's interviewing Sting because of the match. And obviously it's nice that, Sting's in their quote-unquote locker room area. No mic. They don't tape a lapel mic to his chest. They don't give him a microphone. Tony's not back there. Sting's not up front. It's just so much echo. They do say because of the attack from Rick Rude earlier that Flair cannot wrestle tonight, so he's replaced by none other than
British Bulldog.
And are you surprised?
No, I'm not.
Still, not complaining. Sting and British Bulldog have been a good tag team so far, so Harlem Heat versus British Bulldog and Sting sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that's going to be our main event, if I recall.
Yes, it is. So we come back, another interview. It's Tony and Jesse. You're back with Dusty for a little bit to discuss the best of 3 match for the U.S. title.
And that's our next match.
Yeah, we get match 1 of the best of 3 from Rick Rude versus Dustin Rhodes, and fucking Christ, this match was fucking amazing.
Yeah, this was another stellar showcase.
This match, I wish we got this match for instead of what we got for Beach Blast.
Yeah, that would have been much better.
Yeah. And this match was about as long, and I'll talk about the nuances once we get to the last match of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, it goes to all 3.
Right.
So when we get to the third match, I'll talk about I don't know if you caught all this, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was basically all 3 matches were 3 separate matches. Jesse was given his expertise on what it's like. How do you wrestle in a best of 3 falls match? There's different ways to wrestle it, different styles to, whether you win or lose. And props to Rick Rude for the way he sold his arm, because Dustin, for this match, focused on his arm. Obviously, Rick Rude was a power wrestler. He also had the Rude Awakening as his finisher.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Rhodes did enough damage that for a while, Rick Rude was playing dead arm. His arm was just hanging limply at the side. He was basically fighting with one arm.
Yeah.
And just the way he sold that, like it really was hurt that bad. Mwah!
Yeah. This is what they mean by psychology, right?
100%. And wait till I show you what I picked up when I watched match 3 once we get to match 3.
Okay.
Because we basically got 3 separate matches.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to the commercial, while they show, the whole, we go to commercial, and if anything happens, we'll show you what happens. Mm-hmm. Rick actually went for the Rude Awakening, but it was because his arm was so bad, he wasn't able to lock in the finisher.
Yeah, Dustin Rhodes actually reversed and hit the Rude Awakening himself, but then he waited too long and Rude kicked out.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, this is what I want a Beach Blast to be like. If I got this for Beach Blast,
yeah, I would have been 100% satisfied too.
Yeah. This honestly is up there right now as one of my favorite WCW matches of 93 that we've seen on the show. And I did notice that I'm a history buff. Like, one of my favorite subjects in school in general, history. Like, I used to watch History Channel before, when it was still history.
Right.
When the only thing they wouldn't show outside of documentaries was Audie Murphy war movies.
Uh-huh.
Like, I do. Like, I find it fascinating. My dad was a big Civil War buff. Like, he loved reading about it. Like, that's how I learned that the guy who invented shrapnel's last name was Shrapnel.
Oh, really? Did not know that one.
But one thing I did miss in history class was...
Dustin has been through some tremendous battles. He has made his share of mistakes, but he has had his share of success as well.
Same thing happened at the Alamo.
But, fucking Christ, the Rude selling for this match.
Amazing.
Like, Rude was the MVP of this match. As good as Dustin Rhodes was, Rude was the MVP of this match.
Yeah, he did it so well.
Yeah, like, this is how good Rick Rude was. People forget how good people remember the abs and the hip swivels and calling everybody sweat hogs, and they realize Rick Rude was fucking good.
Yeah, and I've seen that as we've been doing the podcast.
Yeah. And then I did notice that weird thing where he did this weird jump leapfrog type thing towards the end of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Which I couldn't figure out where we're going with that, but we do get to the end where Rhodes does lock in a sleeper. And I do here's a little bit of psychology and difference. Because Rick Rude bounced himself, he kind of kicked himself off of the corner. Like, you've seen that spot before. They go for the sleeper, kick off, flip, or whatever, right? Well, like sleepers, Cobra Clutch, any kind of choke like that.
Mm-hmm.
Rude did it differently. Because once again, he's a stronger, bigger guy, power wrestler, press slams, pile drivers, that sort of thing, right?
Right.
He didn't do the flip. When he pushed himself off, he just fell back and landed right on Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, I liked that he did that.
It's the small things. It's the small things that I like.
Yeah, and that gets Rude the win at 22 minutes flat.
Fucking Christ, this match was so good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
This is honestly up there as one of the best matches, for me, in my opinion, of 93. I'm going to put this, right now, I would have to say, my top three right now are this, Flair versus Sting, from, was it the last episode?
I think so.
But basically, it was this, Flair versus Sting, and then the strap match between Sting and Vader from Super Brawl. The White Castle of Fear strap match.
Yeah, agreed. All of those are spectacular.
Yes. This is up there. Like I said, I'm putting this up there with Sting versus Ric Flair from an episode or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
This tells you how good this is. And this is match 1.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're going to do for 2 and 3.
Yeah. So Tony is ringside with Rude getting his comments after the first match. He has comments from Rhodes and Flair. Great banana peel line, too.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, slip, fall into the coffin type sort of thing. Great promo. Once again, great promo from Rude. After he had the Salacious match, he can still cut a promo like this.
Yeah, he can really do it all.
Yeah. To whet our palate, we do get our next match. We have 2 matches left in this episode. Ice Train with Thunderbolt Patterson versus Bob Starr. Same as the first.
Ice Train is vicious.
Yeah, Ice Train is the wins for the win.
78 seconds.
I'm still on the Ice Train train. The train.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's ringside. Ice Train. The only thing that kind of sucks is this the exact Thunderbolt Patterson is basically giving almost word for the exact same promo every week.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It almost feels like, I'm sure it's a little bit different, but he's saying the exact same thing.
Right.
So that's the only takeaway from it. I like Thunderbolt Patterson. My man can speak.
Absolutely.
But he's saying the exact, it almost seems like word for word. I bet how quick I could figure this out if I took the time. But it's the same thing. Put on the dotted line, da-da-da. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost verbatim.
Almost, yeah. And they do get Harlem Heat. The main event of our match is Harlem Heat versus Sting and British Bulldog. I know Harlem Heat comes out. They're known as Kane and Cole. I still forget which one's which. I remember because when I started watching wrestling again, they had already been known again to Stevie Ray and Booker T. So for continuity, for at least for me, they're Booker T and Stevie Ray.
Okay, I'll follow your lead on that.
Yeah, but one thing I do love, and I didn't realize this until this match, they were using the awesome Harlem Heat theme song in '93. This was the same theme song we got throughout their whole run in Harlem Heat. This is basically the same theme song Booker T used in WWF. This is basically Booker T's theme song.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice. And I'm like, oh, wow, we got this in '93. Sweet.
Right before the match starts, Booker's got the crowd doing the "Whoop That Is" song, and they are loud with it.
Oh, yeah. But no, the crowd was really hot at the beginning of this. And then, you know what? No notes. I like this match. The crowd was really hot from the beginning of this. Like, I know overall, but I just like really hot. Like, you could tell, well, one, you got Sting, you got British Bulldog. Harlem Heat haven't come into their own, but they're going to be considered one of the best tag teams of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You got basically four big, powerful guys. Booker's a little bit more spry and, like, dexterous. But, these are four hosses.
Oh, yeah.
And I like this. This was a no-notes match.
Yeah, this match gets fast and furious, slows down, it's got it all.
But yeah, basically this was a relatively even for the most part. Like everybody, this was a GMSI. Everybody gets my shit in. But not in a bad way. This was, like I said, this was a great match. The only thing that sucks is Sid. I mean, we're going towards War Games or whatever, but Sid does come in and interfere for the DQ.
Yeah, Sting and Bulldog win by the DQ that at 8 minutes, 41 seconds.
DQ didn't bother me. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
But basically, we get a 3-on-2 beatdown, and Ric Flair comes out and clears the ring with the 2x4.
Oh, yeah.
Faces stand tall. We have an interview. Tony interviews the good guys, and they say all three of them are gonna fight Sid and Harlem Heat next week. And okay,
yeah, 6-man tag. That's gonna be awesome.
With these six, fantastic. And so that was the first episode of WCW Saturday Night this week. Do we even have to discuss what the best match of the night was?
No, we don't.
Nope, it was match one of the best of three series.
Definitely.
So we are getting right into WCW Saturday Night, September 4th. Show opens right into
Rhodes and Rude, match 2.
And you know what? Same as the first, this match was fucking great.
Yeah, all three were great, and we'll get to that third one, but yeah, I loved this.
Here's the thing. You noticed how I'll explain a little bit more, and then I'll kind of like sum it up when we get to match 3.
Mm-hmm.
Rhodes wrestled differently. Like, he talked about, he didn't wrestle the same match. This was not the same match at all.
Yeah, pressure's on Dustin because he's got to win 2 in a row now.
And he's wrestling slightly different than he did last match. And he's also focusing on a different body part than he did last match. Rick Rude is also wrestling different this match than he did from last match.
Right, so they're doing different things to help differentiate the match.
And it's telling a whole story. Like, Dustin is a little more defensive. He's not going as full bore as he did last time because he knows he has to win 2. Rude knows that he can expand his repertoire a little bit more.
Yeah, Rude doesn't have to win this match. Dustin does.
Yeah, and they show that in the way they wrestle. And then I also noticed that instead of the arm, Rhodes goes for another part of the whole power game. He focuses on Rick's leg.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and we do get confirmed that, Rude may win the U.S. title here this show. And then he could also win Fall Brawl, the world title. But they already said, so we're not going to get Ricky 2 belts if he does. They said he's just going to have to give up one of those.
There's a spot I liked. Rick held a hang position for a while and then dropped Dustin face first instead of on his back for a suplex. Is there a name for when you do that? Or
I've heard it called a front suplex. I've also heard it called like a gourd buster. Like Arn would do that. They call it the gourd buster. To me, a front suplex, gourd buster is kind of like interchangeable, like a inside cradle, small package type thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like that not only was the match wrestled differently from the first match, different things were focused on from this match.
Mm-hmm.
The ending was even completely different.
Yeah.
Like, so Rude goes for a clothesline, and Dustin is able to slip through behind him and get a quick backslide for the win.
8 minutes, 45 seconds. Great stuff.
Fucking great. Honestly, not saying much of anything. This is actually stay for the main event. This is a match 1. We already got the best match of the night.
Yeah, we'll see where the rest of it goes, but I think on the whole, this was a solid show as well.
Yeah, it was only an hour. This one was I think this was the shortest episode of the 3, I think.
So yeah, the first one was 90 minutes, second one was an hour, third one was 2.
Yeah, so roughly, so this is the shortest match. So I can see why this one was quicker. They had a lot more stuff to go through. So once again, everything makes sense to me.
Right.
And so Jesse and Tony come back from commercial. We're talking about we are going to get match 3 for the U.S. title next week. And they're talking about the main event we have tonight. Now, on paper, the next match could be good. Could be. Because we got the man who puts Asian and Caucasian, Yoshi Kwan, versus Too Cold Scorpio. On paper, I think this could have been a sleeper match.
Yeah, there's potential for sure.
And you know what? Honestly, it wasn't bad.
It was okay, but considering what we've seen in this three-peat so far, it didn't live up to it.
Three-peat?
The 3 episodes we're doing.
Oh, okay, yeah. But no, I'm just thinking, like, we've seen Yoshi Kwan. I don't hate his style.
Mm-hmm. You've said that.
We've already established my tangent on why I don't like Yoshi Kwan, the character.
Mm-hmm.
But as his style, I liked it because it was a little bit different than a Southern style of wrestling we got.
Right.
And then Too Cold Scorpio, we've established big fans of this channel is big fans of the Too Cold Scorpio. Once again, still wrestling to this day.
Mm-hmm.
The same style, by the way, too. So I think on paper you get the little bit of high flying from Yoshi Kwan, but he's a very also ground based striker type against that high flyer Too Cold Scorpio, who has some kicks of his own.
So yeah, that's how the match opens. A couple of leaping spin kicks from both of them back and forth.
Yeah, like once again, on paper this could have been good. It wasn't bad. I think it was slightly less than I was expecting, but it still was good. I think that up to this point, this was Yoshi Kwan's best match. And I would have to give the credit to Scorpio on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scorpio definitely helped elevate Kwan, which is not to say that Kwan couldn't carry himself, but Scorpio helped.
Yeah, like this is why this how you can tell Scorpio's good, because this was Yoshi Kwan's best match. To be fair, I think his biggest match was Brad Armstrong, which honestly that wasn't a bad match either.
Mm-hmm.
And Bagwell. Other than that, it's just been quick squash matches. So this is a relatively even match.
Yeah, and we do have a bit where Kwan kicks Scorpio over the top rope. No DQ, so you know what that means.
Yeah, and I actually noticed this because I didn't even realize it until we get the the replays at the end. I didn't even notice that until then. So I actually put that in my notes too. Okay, so we do go. So Kwan actually does lock in the nerve hold, which once again I do like this finishing move. It's because it's a little different. But he puts him up against the middle rope and he holds it. He actually does get disqualified because he didn't break the hold against the ropes. So even though he gets knocked out, Scorpio does win by disqualification.
Yeah, 4 minutes, 47 seconds. This was just okay in my opinion.
It was a no notes.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I would say out of the 3 no notes we've had so far, this was the middle one.
Agreed.
So we do get Tony is ringside with Race and Kwan. We actually do. Holy shit, Yoshi Kwan actually gets to stay ringside for an interview.
Oh my gosh, it's a Red Letter Day.
No shit. And even Red Letter Media. Boop, boop. I love that channel. And it's basically, he just does little, like, yip, 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 little kung fu moves. It's weird. Now I can see why they sent him backstage. But they basically say the bounty match at Fall Brawl. Cactus says he's back. Cactus is backstage, with no microphone like everybody else. He's obviously calling out both of them. And then he says after he beats Yoshi Kwan, he's coming for Vader and his title. He actually says he's going for Vader's liver.
Ooh.
So,
yeah,
we'll see where that goes.
We will see.
And so, once again, our second time with the Fall Brawl Control Center with
War Games.
We do get comments from the tag champs. Obviously, one half of the tag champs is much better on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to discuss who.
Definitely not.
His promo was great. We do get some new matches. So we do get the one I'm excited about of the three they announce. For the TV title, we're getting Ricky Steamboat defending against Steven Regal. Fuck yes.
That's going to be great.
Half of my Mount Rushmore. Thank you.
Yeah, then we've also got Ice Train taking on Shanghai Pierce.
Woo, because you know that deep storyline.
Wait, storyline? There was storyline there? What?
If you want storyline, we're also getting Charlie Norris versus Big Sky. We're not getting Charlie Norris versus Max Payne. We're getting Charlie Norris versus Big Sky because
that makes sense.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you put Charlie Norris and Max Payne in there? Okay, cool. Thanks. Speaking of Ice Train, he's going up against Joe Cruz, and I also noticed something that they came, hey, come win this used Camaro, da-da-da-da-da. we've been talking about since the Clash. You can win the Z28. So we come back from commercial, and you can tell that the commercial happened before it faded back. Because once again, not that Tom Green, thank you, my dude. We wouldn't have been able to do this episode without him because 2 of the episodes are not on Peacock.
Yeah, the 4th and the 11th are not there.
So thanks to not that Tom Green, of course, we're going to plug him everywhere. He does Twitch streams where he watches old WCW. He does, if you have TikTok or YouTube, look up his WCW deep cuts. Deep cuts, they're fantastic.
Oh, yes.
Like one of his most recent ones was talking about how John Candy was almost in WCW.
What?
Yeah. It's the stuff he comes up with. A lot of these are even like, fuck, I didn't know this.
No kidding.
Yeah, like at least like, huh. And if you can get me to learn something,
then that's an accomplishment.
Follow him everywhere. Follow his he does the TikToks and YouTube shorts. He streams on Twitch coming once a week. Not that Tom Green everywhere. Follow the guy. He's the big reason we are able to do a lot of these shows that weren't on Peacock. No, he's not even a big reason. He is the reason we were able to do the shows not on Peacock.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so we come back from commercial. Yeah, Tony talks about they just did the Camaro commercial before the fade in, so I guess we don't even get the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Ice Train versus Joe Cruz. Guess what happens?
Ice Train throws Joe Cruz around like a ragdoll, power slam, 53 seconds.
Yep. Once again, I'm still not like Ice Train. I'm still on the train.
You're still sold.
Yeah. Like I get what they're doing. They're building this up. This is a big dude, athletic dude, just a big brolic dude. Like even the choo thing is not bothering me. Yeah. So we're already in the main event. Once again, this episode was only an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Harlem Heat and Sid versus Sting, the British Bulldog, and Ric Flair. And I like how not only do the faces run to the ring, like they're playing Sting's music, everybody comes out. Ric Flair's still brandishing the 2x4.
Oh, yeah. We get a little bit of a brawl, which ends with the faces standing tall.
Yep. And then we get a great start with Sid and Sting, who, this is Sid's second WCW run, like in his first one. He did have a great series of matches with Sting, so this is nice. We get a little bit of that back.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I noticed throughout the way he wrestles and the mannerisms, heel Flair and face Flair, exact same guy.
Gotcha.
If you watch the heel Flair, how he wrestles and his mannerisms, like we saw, like the few weeks we had him in WWF here at the beginning of the podcast, and we've gotten face Flair so far in this WCW run.
Right.
If you watch or any Flair match, period, heel Flair and face Flair, exact same guy. There's no change.
Yeah, he just has one style and he does it. He doesn't vary it depending on his hat.
Yeah, but like the mannerisms, the way he moves, like, oh, I might change this up because, I'm a bad guy, so I wouldn't do this or whatever, right? But yeah, like with this, it's the exact same thing, but I like it because it gets over, so it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So obviously, and I noticed this, and I think I get this because it's 93, but there's a point where Flair and Sid are outside, and Sid grabs the 2x4 and hits Flair with it. But they cut away. Like, I get, like, why is it they wouldn't cut away from a chair shot, but they cut away from a 2x4 shot? Like, they cut away to somebody in the crowd. Like, I almost kind of get it. Like, it's 93, but at the same time, if you're going to show a chair shot, or, like, when Vader gave Catch the concussion with a powerbomb, they showed that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to show the 2x4 shot.
Yeah, it's little weird.
It's weird to me. And then, basically, Ric Flair is the face in peril for the good solid third of the match.
Yeah, middle third, I would say.
Middle to end, like I would say from about 50 to 70, like from halfway through to about 70% completed the match.
Okay.
At least in my opinion. Bulldog does get tagged in. I actually thought Sting got tagged in, just the way it looked to me, but Bulldog gets tagged in. Crowd goes nuts.
Yeah. There was a point earlier that I saw the Heat do the rocket launcher. I love that move.
Oh, yeah. Like, once again, these are real-life brothers. Booker T and Stevie Ray are real-life brothers.
Oh, cool.
So the chemistry is really there.
Gotcha.
This match just disintegrates because... So, Flair is in there Flair is in the ring with Sid. Here, in comes Sting. He's fighting one of the guys from Harlem Heat. Bulldog and Sting are fighting Harlem Heat. Out comes Rude because he's got the beef with Flair. So they start fighting. Rhodes comes in because he's got the beef with Rude, who's also got beef with Flair.
Right.
And the ref is like, fuck this. Throw the match out. It's a no contest, double DQ.
That's exactly what I put in my notes. Double DQ, no contest.
Yeah, 4.
10 minutes, 31 seconds. Good stuff.
Yeah, here's the thing. Usually no contest, the overbooked as fuck finish, the no DQ or the double DQ, no contest. Doesn't work because sometimes that just comes off as cheap.
Right.
Worked for me here.
Yeah, I agree. It worked.
Because you had Sting, Sid, Ric Flair, Harlem Heat, British Bulldog, they're beefing because we got War Games coming up. This all makes sense. Out comes Rude, who's got beef with Flair. Makes sense. Road comes out to join because he's got beef with Rude. It all makes sense to me. So, was it overbooked? Yes.
But it made sense.
Yes, and do I think if they added like 1 or 2 more people, it would have been overbooked to death? Yes. I think this was the right people and the right amount of people. This worked for me.
Agreed.
So we do get into the third of 3 episodes for this show. WCW Saturday Night, September 11th, 1993. We open up with, and I didn't recognize their music at first because I didn't watch a lot of their second WCW run. We get the Nasty Boys tonight. I was not expecting this, so I'm excited.
Because, they were in WWF when we started the podcast, right?
Yeah, they were in there for a little bit. They had left. They come in, and because we know they're fighting the 4 Horsemen for the tag titles at Fall Brawl. So it's nice to see the Nasty Boys. I was excited for this. Fighting Brad Armstrong and Frankie Lancaster, and because we always know that if you have an established wrestler teaming up with an enhancement talent, one, you know what team's going to win, and you also know who's going to take the fall.
Yep.
Yep, this was basically the thing. I also noticed, once again, giving Frankie Lancaster a lot. He got a lot here, too. But yeah, this was basically, we're just bringing the Nasty Boys in. We're giving them a little bit of time. Once again, you had Worldwide, you had all the other shows, but this is the first time we've seen Nasty Boys on, Saturday night. And this, once again, quick, everything I was expecting in a Nasty Boys match. They're brawlers. You're not going to get the scientific stuff. They're going to punch you in the teeth and rub your face in their armpits.
Yeah, there was something Jesse said about the upcoming tag title match. If the Horsemen can make the Nasty Boys wrestle, they're fine. But if the Nasty Boys can make it a fight, it's their advantage.
Yeah, because once again, that you're not going to get your 5-star technical classic with the Nasty Boys. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a brawl. We're going to punch all day. They're not pretty wrestlers.
Right.
Once again, if you go in knowing that you're going to watch a Nasty Boys fight and you're going to get a fight.
If you know what they do and you know what to expect, you'll get what you want.
Yeah. So we do get it's a relatively quick match where the Nasty Boys hit a Brian Knobbs. So Brian Knobbs has the blonde hair and Jerry Saggs has the dark hair for those that are not familiar with the Nasty Boys. Brian Knobbs hits a spine busters type move, and Jerry Saggs hits an elbow drop from the top for the win.
4 minutes, 50 seconds. Very much a brawl, decent opening.
Yeah, we just got a chance to get the Nasty Boys, eyes on the Nasty Boys before Fall Brawl. Didn't hate this. Tony is ringside with the Nasty Boys. They scream and yell, which is basically every Nasty Boys promo, about how they're going to win.
After that promo, there's a comment from Jesse about how Shockmaster stumbled into pro wrestling. There's no way that wasn't intentional.
Oh, that was 100% intentional. I do like this. Jesse did have a snazzy jacket here. I did like that.
Yeah, I liked it too.
But basically, they're making fun of Shockmaster again. They show the footage. It's also not the last time we see the Shockmaster tonight. Anyways, and we actually go to something that's even worse, because Max Payne versus Charlie Norris in a lumberjack match. So for those, we haven't had a lumberjack match on our show yet. For those that don't know what a lumberjack match is, basically you have your 2 wrestlers, and you're going to have a group of good guys and a group of bad guys on either side of the ring. The idea is, if one of the guys gets thrown out, the other group throws him in. Basically, hey, we're keeping it in the ring, nobody's leaving. And it usually degenerates, like the bad guys will beat up on the good guy, vice versa. And it usually degenerates to a point where the lumberjacks fight. So, because they didn't announce this really until most of the match was over, I do have a list of the lumberjacks. We have the Cole Twins. Hooray.
Yay.
Paul Orndorff. Tex Schlesinger and Shanghai Pierce. Ricky Steamboat. Brad Armstrong. And Bladder Bob himself, the Equalizer, who we'll actually see most of these guys tonight at some point already. We have either already seen them wrestle, or we're going to see most of these guys wrestle tonight. So, and you know what? Here's the thing. They didn't really use the lumberjacks for this match.
No, they really didn't.
Yeah, and you know what? This match sucked.
There was a point where Max crashed into the turnbuckle. He tried to go outside, but of course, he got put right back in, which made that action
entirely pointless.
Yeah, so this whole thing breaks down. What? The Lumberjacks fought? What?
Oh my gosh, it's every lumberjack match ever.
Basically. So we get to the end where Shanghai Pierce has the cowbell. He accidentally hits Max. Charlie Norris kicks him for the win.
4 minutes, 7 seconds. Nope.
Moving on. Fall Brawl Control Center, once again, for the last time of the night, folks, we are getting
War Games.
And then, speaking of War Games, the man who perfected saying the word, we get William Regal. This was a fun promo.
Oh yeah, he insults the crap out of Steamboat.
Yeah, like the whole thing. And it's like, this is the great Super Snooty Regal. I loved it. Once again, it's Regal. It's hard for me to find anything bad about Regal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I might be a little impartial. Don't give a fuck. I love Regal.
Agreed. He's great.
So we get Yoshi Kwan versus Buddy Ryan. Yoshi Kwan wins. Because that's really not the match is fucking. It's there.
Yeah, Yoshi beats the dog shit out of Buddy and wins with his nerve hold. 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Because the match is not the story. The match is we actually get a Cactus Jack run in who actually takes out Yoshi Kwan and then just starts beating the shit out of Harley Race.
Oh yeah, he just came tearing down the entryway.
Yeah, like we wasn't expecting to see Cactus Jack. We saw him come back at Clash of the Champions, so this is only his second time back, at least between like clashes and Saturday nights since the Powerbomb incident. I think that was in April.
Yeah.
So we're talking 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Since we've seen Cactus Jack on TV, which is nice.
Yeah, I also saw Harley Race did a corner bump like Ric Flair does, where he kind of flips over and out. That was really impressive.
Yeah, considering this was 93 Harley Race. He wasn't wrestling anymore.
Yeah, and not to mention, he was a pretty big guy at that point.
Yeah, he was always still that size. He relatively stayed the same size.
Gotcha.
Let me see what year he retired. 90. So this is 3 years after he retired as an active wrestler.
It really, the fact that he gets all bumped like that, good deal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this thing, Cactus Jack, Yoshi Kwan, Fall Brawl. We come back to commercial. Tony talks to Rick Rude, who's backstage, once again, no microphone.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about Ric Flair, Dustin Rhodes, this, that, and the other.
Yep.
Great promo about Rhodes and Flair from Rude.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's, once again, we just watched 3 back-to-back episodes. So it's basically a lot of the same talking points.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but when you see everything all together in one shot.
Right, it gets a little repetitive.
Yeah. But so we get the Equalizer versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, good old Bladder Bob. Once again, I honestly kind of like his music.
It's not bad.
And I like how we get a reunion with who I haven't seen since Beach Blast, the Equalizer, Paul Orndorff, because Orndorff comes down, I think, more against Ricky Steamboat because Ricky Steamboat beat him for the title.
Yeah, and he's clearly so salty about that.
Yeah. We also realized that Equalizer wasn't a small dude, but Steamboat was able to slam him a couple times. People seem to forget that Steamboat was actually sneaky strong.
So yeah, you've talked about that.
Yeah, we saw it here. The Equalizer, once again, not a small dude.
No, he was pretty big.
So yeah, at one point, this was kind of a back and forth match. Steamboat goes outside and gets in a little tussle with Orndorff, who tries to set up Steamboat for a pile driver. Back body drops Orndorff. He gets back in. And this was weird for me, the ending. So we get it set up. Orndorff pulls the brass knuckles out of his tights because he's in his wrestling gear. He doesn't look. He stands with his back to the ring, waiting to turn. So we're going to look at setup. So where Equalizer throws Steamboat into Orndorff, hit him with the brass knuckles, wins. It switches. He accidentally hits the Equalizer. Steamboat rolls him up for the win.
Yeah, 6 minutes, 10 seconds.
Wasn't a bad match.
No, not bad, but average.
No, and what it took it down was the ending because it's like, why is Orndorff not looking?
Right.
We got our second appearance of the Shockmaster tonight, and God bless Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
Because Shockmaster is now a construction worker who's on his lunch break. And I'm just like, Okay, no more Stormtrooper helmet and weird fluffy robe.
Yeah.
He's a construction worker who likes cartoons. Awesome, I like cartoons.
He mentions liking the Coyote and the Roadrunner. Those are my favorites.
Yep, it goes beep beep. But apparently his gimmick now is that he's clumsy. So instead of like trying to like ignoring the whole thing,
They decided to lean into it.
they not only do they lean into it, Shockmaster gives a play-by-play, and then he spills everything on the table.
Oh boy.
So apparently he's clumsy now.
Wonderful.
Awesome. And he's also not a glittery stormtrooper. He's now a construction worker in the span of like 2 weeks.
Yeah, for a little bit there, I thought Tony was just in front of a green screen, but then he got the lap full of water, so no, I was wrong.
And you can tell he was trying so hard not to break character.
Yeah.
Bless Tony Schiavone for that. We get brothers versus brothers. We get Harlem Heat versus the Cold Twins. Still not impressed with the Cold Twins. I'm really not.
Yeah, and once again, the Coles are completely indistinguishable from each other.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that like I can't get into him. I don't think I'm going to get into him.
Yeah, they're trying, and it's just not working. It's not really working for me either.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just, once again, this is a relatively quick match. Once again, there was no notes because nothing happened. One of the Coles had Booker T rolled up. Stevie Ray came in and hit him with a clothesline for the win.
7 minutes, 17 seconds. Just.
Yeah. And then Harlem Heat attacking with another double team move, and we actually get a reverse decision. So technically, the Cold Twins win by disqualification, reverse decision.
Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Moving on.
Yeah. And so the main event, the last match of our episode, is Ravishing Rick Rude versus Dustin Rhodes, match 3 of 3 for the U.S. title. And we get Ric Flair's during commentary.
Oh yeah, I was thrilled when I heard that bit, because
Yeah, and I like how he gave a lot of good insight to like everything that happened throughout the best of 3, his feud with Rick Rude. Like, he gave a lot of good commentary, and it was really great.
yeah, Ric Flair can cut a promo, but here we've seen he can commentate too.
Yeah. Now, here's the part where I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. Here we have all 3. Okay, first match, they kind of went relatively full bore. You also saw that Rose focused on the arm. Match 2. So Dustin Rhodes is wrestling much more defensively. Rick Rude is wrestling much more offensively because he can. And then you also now see that Dustin Rhodes is now focusing on the leg. He's doing a different body part. He's trying to do something different. And now Dustin Rhodes wins in a completely different ending than the first match. Now we get into the third match. Relatively even. You can tell that they're kind of selling their injuries a little bit. And now they're also wrestling basically balls to the wall because this is the last chance for them to wrestle. So this is what I meant by we got 3 separate matches from the same 2 guys. Completely different psychology and storytelling in all 3 matches. And all 3 matches were different endings and they were all told different.
Yeah.
That's how you tell a fucking story.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, this, once again, relatively good. They're just pulling out all the stops. This is a very even match. And Ric Flair's like, look, I want this to have a definitive ending. There's not going to be any shenanigans. We get a ref bump because, fuck it, we're going to get shenanigans.
You say we're always going to get shenanigans.
Yeah, so Rude actually grabs a chair. Rick comes down. He takes the chair from Rick Rude, and Dustin Rhodes rolls up Rude for the win.
11 minutes, 36 seconds.
Fucking great match.
I liked the match, but it felt to me like Ric Flair talked a little too much.
I don't think so. Like, it was nice to get insight from somebody that knows what they're talking about, other than just, you have the guy on commentary, oh, I'm going to kick the opponent's ass, hurdy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than his feud with Rude, Ric Flair had no skin in the game on this match. So it was nice to get commentary from basically a second and a half party, not a full third party, because, you know, Rick Rude. Once again, shock of all shocks, the U.S. title match, you know, the best of 3 series, was in my opinion, because we're at the end of this, that was the best match all 3 episodes.
I think the best one was the first match in the series.
Yes, but I mean, as in, like, first episode, the U.S. title was the best match. Our second episode, U.S. title, little tournament feud, best match of the show. Show 3, best match of the show.
Agreed on all counts.
So not only was, I think, overall, it was the best match every show this episode, I also do think that the first match was the best one out of the 3.
The match on August 28th was the best one of the series, I thought.
Yeah, 100%. Like, once again, that's what I wanted for
Beach Blast.
Beach Blast. Like, I get it. It was an Iron Man match. It's a whole different psychology and everything, but I still think I could have gotten a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
So, once again, I think overall, good 3 weeks from WCW.
Yeah, 3 solid episodes.
Yeah. So, that is going to be it for this week. So, in 2 weeks, we're going to be getting back to our normal WCW Saturday Night, WWF Monday Night Raw. More debuts on that, or more Raw debuts for that. And then 2 weeks after that, we are getting Fall Brawl with
War Games.
And then hopefully we'll get back into the swing of things. Once again, for those, we're going to reiterate, we are going to go to bi-weekly because a lot of us, we're all doing our own content creating, working full-time, trying to get our other projects off the ground. So we're going to go bi-weekly with this instead of weekly. They're still always going to be up on Monday. They're just going to be every 2 weeks instead of every week.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us YouTube, Rumble, all the podcasting sites, once again, every Monday. Or every other Monday now. Bach, where are you and what the fuck are you doing?
I am at Big Boct, BIGBOCT, Twitch, Twitter, working on Instagram. Like I said at the top of the show, I'm going to start trying to stream. Still workshopping what I'm going to do. One thing will be creating dance game charts. And where can we find you, Xander?
Xander Invictus, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok while it's still legal. And I'm going to say that every episode, by the way. On Twitch, I do Mondays and Tuesdays, I do my faction on WWE 2K24. We have finished my rise, so Thursdays and Fridays will be Xander 3 belts. Xander 3 shows, rather, where I wrestle on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT every week. So it's going to be a shitload of matches for the Universe mode. And then what I've been doing, other than whenever I do, I put all my shorts on all the socials. And then what I've been doing for a little bit of fun, exclusive YouTube content is I've been doing, I just started it. I might have to redo it because the sound was fucked up and it was 100% my fault. My GM, we're doing a YouTube only. I played a little bit and we do the videos and we put it up on YouTube. I'm doing my GM.
Cool.
I've played like EWR, so I'm kind of familiar with booking simulators. Like I actually really like EWR. But we're doing the My GM mode and we are doing, of course, shock of all shocks, WCW.
Cool.
So, so thank you everybody for coming out to Dropkicks and Attractions and we will see you next episode.
Take care.